On today's episode of the CLS Experience, we have a very special treat. She's the CEO and founder of one of my personal favorites, Sweat CBD, and founder of her newest venture, BOSSBOXX. She's a badass entrepreneur, the host of a terrific podcast, and just a fantastic human being in all facets of life. Please welcome Kelsey Eyers. How you doing, Kelsey?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to talk with you today.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, and I promise you this. I know you do a bunch of these, and a lot of my guests do, but you have my word, we'll make this different, and we will absolutely manufacture magic here today, just like we did on yours.
I love that. All right, let's do it.
Yeah, so first of all, congratulations on the new venture.
Thank you. Thank you. I was just telling you too that it's so exciting for me because having built a product-based business, there's a lot of like rules and regulations and just, you kind of have to like follow the book in a way. And it's hard to really be super creative when you have to limit your like branding to the product. Now I'm able to really just like spread my wings, my creativity wings here, and just pretty much build this exactly how I want it and build it for me, like me 2 years ago is what I really built this business for is if I could rewind and have had somebody to help me in this way, everything would have been easier. So yeah, it's great. I'm so excited. I don't think I've ever been more excited about something, to be honest.
To be honest with you, I could tell. I mean, you're glowing right now. Your positive aura is contagious, and I'm super excited for you. However, we're going to get into that in a little bit. We're going to start today off a little bit weird. I'm going to take a page out of your book. Are you ready for me?
I'm so ready. Let's do it.
What's your superpower, Kelsey?
Oh, hyperproductivity. And yeah, you just literally hyper productivity. Like I can fit so much in one day. It's kind of scary.
Really?
Yes.
Sounds like you have a great idea of time management.
Time management is wonderful, but I'm able to run 4 businesses, have a social life, and have time with my family and do things I love all at once. And it's, yeah, I impress myself sometimes with it, honestly.
Do you have more than 24 hours in a day? What's your secret?
Yeah, that's honestly, I wonder that sometimes because it'll be like, it'd only be 6 p.m. and I'm like, how am I done with all of that already? I'm a very good multitasker too. So I think that really helps.
That's interesting because a lot of people will say multitasking can cause procrastination because you can't hit 2 targets with 1 arrow, but you prove the opposite. And a lot of people are busy, but not productive.
Right.
But yeah, you mastered the productivity. I admire that about you.
I think I'm both. I think I'm definitely both busy and productive. So
yeah. And I think it's because it's no secret. You're very passionate about all the things that you're doing right now. So when you wake up excited, it's easier to start attacking.
That's very, very true. I mean, there's no way that I could, be this or want to be this productive if I was just working for someone else in a job that I was not passionate about. I literally wake up every day and I am excited to look at my to-do list and start checking things off because it's fun. It fills me up and yeah, I love it.
So let me ask you, do you do the to-do list that morning or is it the night before?
It's a combination of both. So I actually do like a week in advance kind of thing where it's just like the framework. And then I allow space because I know that there's going to be a lot of things that just come up. Obviously, when you're running 4 businesses, that's what happens. So I definitely allow some space, but as the day goes on, it fills up. And then I start seeing what I'm going to have to carry over into the next day because it might not happen today if I want to, give the other things on my list their best shot. So it's a combination, but yeah, I stay very, very organized with my schedule. Like I could tell you what I'm doing like down to the minute, like for the next month.
That's key. I like that. You're very strategic and you're also on fire.
Well, thank you.
Tell me this one sounds familiar, Kelsey. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Oh my God. And now I am just going to look like a hypocrite here because I don't know how to answer my own question. Okay. Let's go with passionate because I'm a very passionate person. Even when I'm telling like a regular story, I'm just like, my eyes are like this big because I just talk with a lot of passion. So let's say passionate, fun, and creative.
Love that. Okay, cool.
Now not creative in the sense like I can draw or paint or like, I'm not like artistic, but I'm creative.
I understand completely. Even just what you're doing with all these businesses and so forth. You're a visionary, simply put.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll take that word instead. That sounds better.
Now it's time to dive deep. You
All
ready?
right, I'm ready.
When did you really become Kelsey 2.0?
Ooh, literally last year,
Wow, this is
March
recent.
9th, March 9th of 2020.
Tell me more.
I made my first big commitment, my first big financial commitment, and my first big commitment of my time into my own personal development. And literally, it has just been dominoes since then. I had been kind of like tiptoeing up until that point, and I had never really jumped fully in. And you and I talked about this before. You can't, and this quote of yours stuck with me actually. You can't get to second base with your foot still on first. And that's what I was doing. I was just dragging. I had these great ideas and I had this passion, but I was not going fully into it. And that day I just decided this is it, and I'm going in. And literally, I mean, holy crap. So much has changed in a year. It hasn't even been a full year. And this is, it's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. If anyone can relate to how much can change in a year, it's me. So I
Yeah.
totally understand that. And I respect the hell out of what you're doing. I have to ask you, like, what was the mindset like that made you finally leave first base, so to speak? Like, were you sick and tired of being sick and tired?
It was no, it was actually like there's something inside of me that was just telling me like that I was just meant for more. I hated feeling at the end of the day like I hadn't accomplished anything because I was running Sweat CBD at this point. So just to preface that, I was still running a company, but I was just literally going through the motions. And while there was passion there, but it was not even remotely at this level. I would say it was like a 3 out of 10, and now I'm like an 8 out of 10, you know? But it's yeah, I don't know. It just started to click with me that I needed to really fully commit to something if I wanted to see the results, and more importantly, feel the results, because how I was making myself feel by accomplishing these new tasks and getting outside of my comfort zone, that was more important to me than like, seeing the dollar signs really.
I completely understand. It seems like you had a big shift, like in your mindset and perspective. What were some of the things that popped out once you started investing in yourself and you started getting some knowledge and getting some support? Like, what are some key mindset hacks or perspectives that really opened you up to the universe?
Two things I can think of. So one of them would be that I honestly, like, in my confidence just started just exploding. I went to this mastermind, actually. That's what it was. I went to a mastermind, and I thought I was going to walk in there and be in a room where I was not the smart. I honestly thought I would be the dumbest person. I thought I would be the most unsuccessful person. I honestly had no confidence walking in there. And then when I left 3 days later, I was like, wait a second. I am like, in an equal playing field with all of these people. And I was actually teaching them things. So it really showed me that I am, I am what I think of myself, and I'm what I make of myself. So I think that was really big for me to just like put, where I was at in perspective. And then the other thing is that I was too afraid to fail. And that was a huge thing for me, a big realization, I guess. I was so afraid to fail. And what I've really learned now is that the earlier you can fail, the better you're going to be. You might as well get those failures out of the way because they're inevitable and they're going to happen. So why not get them out of the way, learn from them, and then become a better version of yourself and create a better version of, your business or your job or whatever you're doing.
It's so valuable to the audience because you can't fear failure. In fact, if you want to do something significant and great, you have to embrace it and understand that it's a part of the journey. But it's not
Yeah.
really a failure if we learn from it, we pick ourselves back up, and we're able to mold ourselves into a better version, someone who's now aware and knows what doesn't work. But I love the fact that you mentioned confidence because, in my opinion, that's everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I can't, it's really crazy because it's like I went there for a business mastermind. And so that built my confidence in that. But not only that, like I came out more confident, and this might sound like cheesy, but I came out more confident in like just me, like me as a person. Like I used to be like self-conscious about the dumbest things. And now I'm like, this is me. Like I love myself in a different way. It's great.
Yeah, you have to own yourself, own your own story, and also realize like I'm running a mastermind right now too, and it's so much fun and exhilarating just seeing all the breakthroughs that are happening. And a lot of the things, it's not like rocket science, right? It's allowing someone to understand that you are worthy. For the
Yeah.
audience listening to right now, no matter what you've been through, what you're going through, you are worthy of becoming your best self and living the life you desire. Sometimes we need someone else to let us know that. And sometimes we're like, we've been conditioned to think a certain way for so long. It doesn't have to be that way. A simple, literally changing of your perspective can open everything up. And we are capable of so much greatness. And like you just said, not too many physical things change for you, but you changed on what you saw possible for yourself. And look at you now.
Right. And honestly, I think something really important to point out there as well is I am not the smartest person in the room. I will never be the smartest person in the room. I am not the most talented and I will never be the most talented. It's that I am willing to look past those things and keep going. And I think that's what really makes me confident, is because I know I have that like go-getter, like eagerness in me that a lot of people do not have.
Yeah, I love that. That's deep. That just hit home for me because I'll never be the most talented either,
Yeah.
or the smartest. But you know what? I take pride in that. Like, even when I started running marathons, like, I had no business running a marathon when I did because I'd only just started running a few months prior. But like, I figured out how mental it was and how much of a mindset it was, that voice in your head that you have to kind of own and understand how to keep at bay and so forth. And I really challenged myself and I was able to do really well. And that's just one metaphor, but really in so many different areas in life, whether it be business or relationships, anything, it's talent can only get you so far.
Right.
Yeah. And I love that you said that. Taking it back a little bit now. You grew
Sure.
up in Wisconsin, correct?
I did.
So what's it like being in LA compared to Wisconsin? It's like a fish out of
So
water.
Okay, well, I moved here now. It'll be 8 years in March, actually. So I've been out here for quite a while. When I first moved here, I was like a lost little puppy. I basically just filled up my work schedule, and I had 3 jobs. I would work from like 4 o'clock in the morning until like 11 p.m. or 12 a.m. every single day, 7 days a week. So I really never, I think I was like kind of like a protect protection thing. I was kind of shielding myself from like actually, going out and experiencing California. But once I kind of got out of that rat race, I was a fish out of water for sure. But I now have learned how to use it to my benefit because a lot of people here love to work with and love to connect with and network with people that aren't from California, because you can tell. It's very, very easy to tell when, you bring your like Midwest nice to a city where people don't even say hello. So you really do stand out, and it's like I said, it's worked in my favor.
Yeah. Why'd you choose California?
I actually moved out to California to live with an ex-boyfriend. And I honestly, I knew we weren't going to stay together, but I really wanted to move to California. So I was like, yeah, I'll come with, sure, let's go. And we only stayed together for like 2 weeks once I got here. And then I was single for, well, I guess like four more years. I met my husband, 4 years ago. So yeah, yeah. But and honestly, it was meant to be. Like, I was definitely meant to be here. I'm trying to move back to the Midwest, but I will take all of the things that I learned being here in California with me for sure.
Yeah. Can you keep a secret?
Sure.
Well, it's not really going to be a secret because there's going to be a
Yeah.
lot of people that hear this, but this is going to be the first time I publicly say this out loud.
Okay.
I'll probably be joining you in California this time next year.
I don't think I'll be here this time next year.
Come on.
I'm-
Why?
Yeah, we're trying to find a house back in the Midwest, but that being said, my husband has a lot of ties to work out here, so we're probably going to have an apartment somewhere in like the South Bay.
Why
So
are you over it or you just want to go back home to family?
I both. Yeah, definitely. I'm over California. It just doesn't have that same luster and vibe that it used to. And I know obviously we're still in the midst of like a pandemic, so it's different, but I have traveled all over the country in the last year, and it's just not the same. Like, I would rather be somewhere else. I just don't feel right here anymore.
Yeah.
It's like that gut feeling. And then obviously, yeah, too. My family's there, and that's everything to me. Anybody that knows me knows, my family is like my why. That's
Yeah.
like, it's huge for me. So
Good. And that's how it should be. And I understand what you're saying because I've been in New York my whole life except college. So I'm kind of getting like, it's time for a little bit of a change just to get the creative
yeah.
juices going and just spread my wings a little bit as well.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, because when I asked you in the beginning, you mentioned creativity is a big part of you, and that's very obvious. Did you always have the entrepreneurial spirit embodied in you, or is this something that you kind of developed later in life?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I would say, like from my perspective, I would say no, because I never thought like, oh, I want to own my own business or I want to. Honestly, that was just, I don't know, it was just never even a thought to me. And I don't know, I guess I wasn't ever a good employee. I wasn't. I was not a good employee. I just am like, I don't know. I don't really love being like told what to do and then told, especially to do like busy work when I know like my time could be much more well spent. So, yeah, I mean, in that sense, yes. But then if you ask someone like my dad, he would say, absolutely. I knew you were going to be an entrepreneur because at, just like a very young age, you were like, I'm going to organize the birthday parties. I am in charge of the soccer team. Here's our schedule for the next like few weeks to my family. So yeah, he kind of knew that I would like be in charge in some sense. But yeah, it was never like a thought to me when I was younger, like I want to, work for myself.
Yeah, but it seems like maybe there were signs. I think
Yeah.
that it's so interesting because all of us, like, people like me and you who are out here doing our thing, building businesses and empires. If you look back, because that's really how you connect the dots, there were always signs when we were little. I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, how did you transition into the CBD? Not only just building the business, but obviously take us back a little bit on why that specific product really worked for you, because
Yeah.
I don't really associate myself with many things. I'm very deliberate, but I love your product. It's no secret. In fact, we do an ad here for it on the CLS Experience, and I love it. But tell the audience why this really resonated with you, and then also tell us how you took that and then started a business. What were you doing before that led to this?
Okay, cool. So I struggled with anxiety like for my entire life. It's a very genetic uh thing in my family. Like my dad, my grandma, everybody has struggles with anxiety. And so from a very young age, I was on anxiety medication, but I would always skip taking it because it made me feel a certain way. I always felt kind of like a zombie. And obviously just through this conversation, I'm sure you can tell I'm a very like life filled person. I have a lot of energy, a lot of passion. So when
Yes.
I when I didn't have that anymore, I hated it. But when I would skip taking my anxiety medication, I would get panic attacks or anxiety attacks. So that was also equally as bad. And obviously living in the Midwest, like we didn't really look for, natural substitutes to medication. You kind of just did what your doctor told you to do. And then I mean, obviously in the back of my mind, I always knew there was a natural substitute out there somewhere. I just didn't know what that was. So fast forward quite a few years, like over 10 years of being on anxiety medication. And my now husband one day recommended that I try CBD products because I was actually out of my anxiety medication. And I tried it and I felt this release of pressure off my chest that I had honestly never felt before. But in addition to that, my mind was still clear. I wasn't sleepy. I wasn't zombie like. And I remember just feeling like, wow, I mean, this is going to change my life. So in that moment, not only did I discover the natural substitute for all of the medications that I had been taking, because it has now taken the place of like everything that I ever had to take. Because when you take anxiety medication, then you got to take something for sleep, and it just the list goes on. So I had found the natural solution for that, but in that moment, I also was like, wow, this is like something that I could really see myself selling. And it wasn't like an instant click, like, oh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, but it was more so like, I feel like this is something I could really stand behind and passionately sell because I had done sales before and I sucked at it, to be honest, because I did. I was never selling something that I was passionate enough about to stand behind. So I would always kind of was just like we were talking about earlier, just kind of tiptoeing because, I felt bad selling something to people that I didn't even believe in myself. So it all happened really fast. Then I went from, taking the product to finding a manufacturer that could create exactly what I wanted and know that, it's something that I would take myself every day, give to my friends and family and trust that they'd be healthy and happy and safe, taking it every day as well. So then it literally was like a very fast turnaround, maybe like 24 to 48 hours that I was searching for that manufacturer. and the business took off more than I could have imagined, obviously, because it was coming from a place of, passion and a place of just like truthfulness in an industry that isn't necessarily that truthful sometimes. When I started, we called it the CBD Storm. Like everybody and their brother was starting a CBD product line, and it was just kind of tainted because a lot of people were just, slapping a label on something and saying like, good luck. They're just trying to make their money and get out. And we've obviously withstood that, but yeah, I mean, it definitely was kind of like an instant click, like this is going to help me, and now I'm going to have it help other people as well by turning it into a business.
Yeah, love all of that. So let me ask you, like, because a lot of entrepreneurs obviously tune in to the CLS experience. So how does that work? You find a manufacturer and then you bring them the ingredients?
So we had to connect the manufacturer and the farm, but I had to find a manufacturer. There's only a certain amount of licensed manufacturers in each city or each state, depending on the size. And this was a licensed manufacturer, and it was actually someone that I had already had a connection to because my husband had met them at a cannabis convention, actually about 8 years prior. And previously they were just getting into CBD, but they were very trustworthy and very awesome. And obviously we sat down for that first meeting and I was like, yeah, I want to work with you. And then we had to connect the hemp farm to them. So yeah, it's a process, especially when you're, creating a product that's ingestible and it's designed to help people. Like you have to be super, super cautious and careful and make sure you're following all regulations. And that part is, it can be a little like nerving actually, because there's so much that goes into it and so much weight on your shoulders to produce a good quality product.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. Kelsey, what were you doing before this, before you segued into the CBD?
Right. So I was actually working as a fitness and weight loss consultant for a weight loss facility that you came and stayed for like, weeks at a time or months at a time. And while like, health and nutrition and fitness were and still are a huge passion of mine, again, I was selling things that I was not standing behind, and I was seeing like the behind the scenes and how business operated, and I was like, I can't do this. And I remember I would come home every single day and my husband would be like, you have to change this up. Like you're draining the life out of yourself. You're just not happy. And it just honestly, it was just like the stars aligning that everything just clicked with finding something I knew I could sell and be passionate about and turn into a business.
Yeah, I love that. It's very relatable, but I'm sure that you learned some very interesting, tangible techniques at the old spot that you were then able to apply to when you started this empire, correct?
I mean, yes. And so that was just honestly one thing. Like if you name a job, I have probably done it, to be honest. I'm serious. I have done so many things. I was a bartender and a server for like 10 plus years. I was a nanny. I was an event coordinator. I mean, I have done it all. But yeah, obviously I was just doing those jobs to fill my time and pay the bills. It was never like I was super excited to go to work or anything.
Boss lady entrepreneur suits you best.
I feel that too.
Yeah. So once you started getting it going, what was that moment where you're like, wow, we're on to something. We're going to make this huge.
So here's the thing, and this is really interesting because I don't think I've ever said this before actually, but I was producing revenue at like light speed at the beginning of my business. Like I was at the beginning of starting Sweat CBD, I was making money from day one. But the difference was that I was not I don't know. There was like a disconnect. Like I myself wasn't as into it as I should have been because I was tiptoeing because I was so afraid to fail. All of a sudden I announced to everybody, I have a business and I've, put all this time and energy into this. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, what if it fails? So I never jumped in completely until that day that I was talking about of last year. And so, yeah, it was a really it felt like a really long, like year and a half beginning because I was kind of just twiddling my thumbs.
Yeah. So now you feel aligned and alive as ever.
Yeah. Yeah. To be honest, it's Sweat CBD has leveraged so many other opportunities for me. After going all in and, dedicating myself fully to making everything that I touch, the best that I can possibly.
Yeah, I love all of this. And for the audience, I mean, if you're doing something that you're not passionate about, it's only a matter of time before it drains you. And if the pandemic taught us anything, it's just how unpredictable life can be. Find the thing that you love, find what you can be passionate about, or your purpose, and strategize, and you'll make it work, or you'll figure out how. So I'm proud of you. It's a great job. And that obviously led to what you're doing today, which you just announced. Tell the audience what your new venture is.
Yeah. So after starting Sweat CBD, I had to kind of find a way to advertise it because for anybody that's listening that doesn't know, you cannot advertise or promote or boost posts or whatever you want to call it you cannot do digital marketing for CBD products. So I had to find some
That's interesting.
inadvertent.
I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
yeah. So I had to find some very inadvertent ways to promote my product. One of them being the affiliate program, the other one being a podcast. So I started a podcast, but I really didn't want to only make it about Sweat CBD. I wanted to kind of like low key slide the Sweat CBD promo into it, and then really make it about entrepreneurship. So I started my podcast. My podcast then opened a lot of doors for me. I started having a lot of people ask me to mentor them through affiliate marketing or e-commerce. So I started doing that. I felt great doing that. And I'm still doing that as well. But I knew that I wanted to kind of build something with a potential to grow into something massive, instead of just having like constant client turnover. I really wanted to build something huge. So one day I was walking and I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about the idea of franchising. And I love the idea of franchising a business and giving someone the opportunity they call franchising a business in a box. So I love the idea of giving somebody the opportunity to walk into a business, have your marketing taken care of, possibly your team, have your inventory taken care of. And it really just opens up, the doors to so many people who might not have the knowledge on how to start a business from scratch. So thinking, obviously brick and mortars may be a thing of the past. We just don't know what the future looks like anymore. I wanted to bring that idea of a business in a box to the online space. So after searching around for a while for a team, I found a PR and marketing expert, a branding and website designer, and then I found a social media expert, and I paired it with myself, who is in charge of business development and strategy. And what we are doing is we are working with aspiring entrepreneurs to create a done-for-you custom online business. We are expediting the process of you actually producing revenue. So what we do is we create a fully custom business for you, and then we train you into it for an additional 30 to 60 days, depending on the size of your business.
That's so interesting. And I love that. So who determines which business it is? Does someone come to you and say, this is my idea? Can you help me like franchise it online?
Sure. So we're actually going to work with kind of a bigger caliber, I guess, here. We're going to be working with aspiring entrepreneurs who could either be at that idea phase, they could either be at that I've just begun phase, or we're actually also going to be working with new online business owners who are just kind of stuck, who are just kind of struggling to get the ball rolling and may not have the time or energy to commit to doing that. And another huge thing as well is, at the beginning of starting Sweat CBD, one of the biggest problems for me was wasting a ton of time and money, especially trying to ask for help in a million places. And what we're doing is really bringing everything under one roof, so the authenticity of your brand is not lost from your PR and marketing to your social media, to your branding, and to your website, and then how you develop your business around your lifestyle. So I think that's really important too, is, just to say it's a one-stop shop, instead of having to find help in a million places.
I think that's brilliant. And I know from experience, because I've done a couple campaigns where like I would piece together what I thought was a dream team, different pieces, people who specialize in different things. And don't get me wrong, it worked and I had a ton of success. But what you're saying makes it so much simpler. Instead of
Right.
having to go find experts in different fields, just go see Kelsey and she does it all under one roof. That's
Right.
special.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited about it. I'm really excited about it because it's, like I said, it's exactly what I could have used 2 years ago. And I think I would be in a completely different place now. Not that, all the lessons that I learned on the way to this point haven't been extremely valuable, but it just, I think I would have been making, a lot more revenue at a lot earlier time.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. So Who is that in the picture that you posted? Some of the badass members of your team?
Yeah, so from the left to the right, that's the left is going to be our branding and website designer, and then we have PR and marketing, and then myself, and then social media would be to my right.
Okay, love
An
this.
interesting fact, my social media manager is actually my brother's girlfriend, and it was just it's honestly, it just makes me like so happy thinking about it, because she had just graduated from college with a degree in marketing, had started doing social media for a few other people, and then started doing the social media for Sweat CBD. And I was just blown away by her talents. Like, she is unbelievably talented at this. And she was kind of like me in my early 20s, where I didn't want to work for somebody, and she's in that same boat. And so now I get to give her the opportunity to, work for herself. And it's awesome.
I love that. Makes perfect sense. And the fact that you can kind of use family, so to speak, and coordinate with them, make that work, that's really special.
Yeah. Yeah. She's definitely family. So,
I'm going to challenge you for a second.
okay, let's do it.
Okay. So if you recall on your podcast, we talked about how I envisioned CLS looking a couple of years down the line, and then I reverse engineered it. And I obviously thought very big. Like, people probably think I'm out of my mind, but that's okay. I feel like the greats have to be. So what is your vision for this venture, a couple of years
Oh,
out?
yeah.
Where do you see this thing going?
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to build this into a full agency. I want to eventually, and I'm hoping like 5-year plan here, to have each of us have our own, each department. So that would be the 4 departments that I mentioned, have multiple like let's just say duplicates, or let's just say clones of us under ourselves. And then what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to take on a lot more clients, and clients of all calibers, starting from a smaller business to a massive company. And then we will be able to assign teams and delegate teams based on the size of the project. So that's what I really want to do. I'm hoping in 5 years we can have this be just massive. But I'm thinking even in like a year that it's going to be definitely on the track to that. So
The only thing I want to say to what you just said is, let's get rid of the word hope, because this is definitely happening. I guarantee it, because you're on fire and you're super passionate, and I respect the hell out of you.
Good catch.
So,
good catch.
Let's manufacture a breakthrough right now.
Okay.
What potential obstacles do you think can come in the way that will stop this from becoming what you just said it's going to be?
Oh yeah. I would say, I think the complexity of what we do is really difficult with messaging. It's very difficult to get the message clear and keep it clear, because it's so complex. So I think just if we can keep our message very, very clear from now until that point, I do not think that there's going to be an issue. But I think if it gets confusing for people, that could be the only issue. But I think that could honestly just be handled by customer testimonials and seeing what we've done for other customers. But at these beginning stages, it's very difficult to explain to somebody, we do, this, and this. It's almost like CBD, trying to tell somebody what CBD does. It's like a long list of things that it can do. And sometimes you confuse your customer. So I would say that's going to be the biggest obstacle.
Yeah, I like that. And also, it's a very saturated space now with like people online, like doing business and so forth. But I'm
Absolutely.
also a big believer in that, even though it's saturated, you can kind of get through the fluff in 2 seconds. Like if you speak to someone or you see someone, at least me, I'm a pretty good judge of character, and I think you are as well. You can kind of tell like who's real, who's legit or authentic,
Right.
and who's not. The only
Yeah.
thing and I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Sure.
So the only thing I could think of is like, why would someone trust you? Like, who are you to be able to say that you could help the brand? But then again, look what you did with CBD. So you're your own testimonial.
Yeah, okay. First of all, I do agree with that. I understand like the saturation thing, but I don't think that there is a market in this world that isn't saturated, to be honest. I think everything is saturated, but like you said, it's all about how you brand yourself and how you stand out. And it's the same kind of idea, is like, there's not enough money to go around. Like there's always going to be enough money to go around, and there's always going to be enough customers to go around. So I have kind of strayed away from that idea of like, there's too much saturation in the online business space. But who am I to say that I could help somebody's brand grow? Well, obviously I grew my brand from 0 to 6 figures in under a year. And now since then, Yeah, and since then I've helped now 3 e-commerce businesses go from 0 to 6 or 7 figures in under 3 months. So, I mean, I guess yeah, I mean, I have obviously the statistics to back it up, and then so do and just like my branding and website designer, she's worked with celebrities and she's worked with major brands, and being able to show our work and what we do, I mean, I think we'll earn people's trust pretty fast.
Yeah, and for the audience listening, should you check out what Kelsey's got going on in regards to that, you have my blessing. Absolutely 100%. I trust Kelsey. I love her. I respect her. And also, like she said earlier in the conversation, she wishes she had BOSSBOXX a couple of years back. It would have saved her some time, money, and energy. So now she knows what works, but most importantly, she knows what doesn't work. So she could help you apply that so you can kind of save some time, so to speak, and do things the correct way.
Right. Exactly. I am just being the mentor to other people that I wish I would have had 2 years ago.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so real. And I love it. And again, congratulations on this. I have no doubt it's going to be a monster success.
Thank you so much.
You said earlier in the conversation that a couple of years back, like you wasted some money and things. I'm wondering, because this is a trendy topic these days in regards to like money mindset and like what's your relationship with money? How has your relationship with money changed over the last couple of years since you basically became Kelsey 2.0?
That's a really, really good question. Since I've been younger, I have always had no problem spending money on like experiences, but I've always been super like budgeted with everything else. But like if it comes to like, planning a trip or having a nice meal or things like that, like I've never spared on that. So that definitely hasn't changed. But the scarcity type mindset that I used to have, I definitely no longer have, because I think that has to do so much with confidence. And once you build that confidence, you understand that if I was to lose everything today, I could make it back. So I'm not really worried about, enjoying myself and spending my money or investing in myself or investing in my business or, hiring and outsourcing, because I know it's going to come back to me. And then God forbid it doesn't, I can make it back tomorrow.
Not only because of your mindset, because of how resourceful you are and you've done it, you can do it again.
Yeah. And I think that's why my money mindset changed, was because I gained so much confidence in what I can do. And I put so much value on my skill set.
Yeah, I love that. That really hits home to me because, as you know, with what I do and I help people revamp their mindsets, when you're speaking to someone who's really interested in bettering themselves and making that investment in themselves, there's kind of two different routes that they go, when they ask for some support. One is in their head, they're like, okay, what's the ROI going to be on this? What's my return on investment? How much value am I going to get? And then the others are like, all right, well, how much is it going to cost? To see if I can come up with that, which is basically the scarcity mindset that you were referring to. And when you're in that frame of mind, it's like money controls you.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're only focusing on what's going out, you're never gonna move forward, because you're always just thinking about what's going out, and you feel like the money that you're making back is almost you playing catch up, which it's not. That's your return for what you're putting out. So I mean, it's complex. Like the whole money mindset thing, I feel like it is an always learning thing for me. I don't think I'll ever have it mastered, but I am definitely in a completely different place than I used to be in regards to, like I said, investing in myself and my business and enjoying my life. Like that's huge for me too. That's really big for me. I am very I know myself, and if I don't like, go out for the nice dinner and travel and, go spend time with my family, like then none of this really seems worth it to me, because the reason that I work so hard is to eventually, be closer to my family and, help them enjoy their life even more and build a life for my future family.
100% agree. And for the audience, just soak that in for a second. None of it matters if you can't do all the things,
Yeah.
right? You have to have that balance, which let me be very clear, I'm still working on myself. And as you know better than anyone, when you start something kind of in the beginning stages and you're so passionate about it, you want to go all in and go crazy 20 hours a day.
Of course. And I think everything comes in seasons. Like there's always going to be a time for hustle. Like I think at the beginning stages of building your business, you have to grind, like you have to hustle. And then you you graduate a little bit, and then you get a little bit more freedom, and then you learn how to manage your time a little bit better. But there's always going to be a time and place for hustle, even when you are like at your peak. And if not, then you probably need to start something new or find a new way to challenge yourself, because you're kind of just going with the flow at that point. So yeah, I believe there's never really balance. It's more so like just listening to your mind, listening to your body. And then if one day you're feeling super motivated, go for it. If the next day you're just not, walk away for a second.
So valuable. Love it. You're speaking to my soul right now. For the audience that can't see, you have to surgically remove the smile from my face because everything Kelsey says just speaks my language. When I think of you, Kelsey, I think of a very strong, independent woman, a juggernaut, a badass entrepreneur. Now I notice that you're basically delegating and you have a whole team for this new venture. So let me ask you, was that tough to you to be able to delegate and trust other team members? Do you have that A type of personality?
So actually building my first businesses, I was lonely. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but like I was really lonely. Like, I love bouncing ideas off of people. I ultimately like to make the big decision, but I love being able to brainstorm with people, and talking to other people who have different areas of expertise than me pulls ideas out that I didn't even know I had. So not having that, I was really excited to have that. And now what I love about having, these three on my team is that we just have brainstorming sessions that go on for hours. And I'm, like I said, coming up with ideas that I didn't even know I was like, yeah, I didn't even know we're in there. It's awesome. So yeah, I mean, I actually really, really enjoy it. And I've kind of like set myself in the position of like still like the decision maker. But it's great to bounce ideas off of people, and I trust them. So if I didn't trust them, I wouldn't have brought them onto the team. But I also have made it very, I mean, we have all made it very clear to each other that if any of us at any time aren't pulling our part, like there's no hurt feelings here. We're not here to, I mean, we are friends, but we're not here to, like tiptoe around the problem. We're going to all bring it to light and hold each other accountable. So it's a really cool dynamic that we have.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me because I have that A type of personality where I want to do everything and I trust my work ethic and so forth. But I've been working on delegating and I built an amazing team with CLS and it's people that I trust now. And also, like you said, like having the ability to bounce some creative ideas off of another brain is very welcoming now. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I know my strengths and weaknesses, and I know I am not the best at everything, but I'm really good at what I'm good at. So for instance, like if you told me to, I know how to run websites, but if you told me to like build a website, I'm going to be like, probably not. Same thing with like social media. I don't love it. I never have. It's not, I mean, I can do it and I'm not terrible at it, but I don't love to do it. So knowing my strengths and knowing my weaknesses helped me pick, I think, like the three perfect people to fill in those gaps. And together we're just, it's powerhouse.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And kudos to you for being able to find the right people that you can trust and trust them. And that's what it's all about. And that's why I know you guys are going to be super successful.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So you're obviously very inspired and you're always super passionate and on fire and go, go, go. So I have to ask you, because people always ask me, who are some of my mentors or who are people that inspire me? Who do I sharpen the axe to, as I like to say? And I think I've told you this in the past. My answer isn't always the sexiest because I use the world as my playground. I'm always journaling and just getting different inspirations, different ideas from all walks of life, whether it be books, movies, songs, characters, entrepreneurs, anything. Who are some people that have really inspired you? Who are some people that you sharpen the axe to?
Ooh, this is kind of a deep one because honestly, like in the life picture, my dad is huge in my life. He is now an entrepreneur. He wasn't always my whole life, but just like as how I want to be as a person and who I want to kind of like replicate, it would be him. He taught me so much, from work ethic to how you treat people to, having fun. Like he really taught me how to have fun. So I mean, definitely my dad holds a very, very high standard for just people in general in my life. He's amazing. And then also when it comes to being like an entrepreneur though, I really respect Chris and Lori Harder. They were actually, I have done a few things with them already. I mean, between their masterminds and programs and such. And they just, I love the way that they operate their business. They've really built their businesses around their life, and I respect that. But yeah, I'm the same way as you. Like I get inspired by like everybody. I mean, I've met some really, really cool people in the last year, you being one of them. And yeah, I take inspiration from everybody. They don't necessarily have to be more quote unquote successful than me for me to be inspired by them. Yeah, I mean, I actually had someone who came on as a podcast producer and someone who helped me get my podcast started, and we've become like extremely good friends now and are building an online course together. So I was so inspired by what she does in the product-based business world that we are bringing our knowledge together, and I was inspired to do something with her. So yeah, just I think really everybody in their own way brings a little bit of inspiration in some sense.
I love how family oriented you are. I think that's one of the reasons why I connect with you so much, because I'm so big on my family as well. And the fact that you had your dad on your show, when I saw that, it really hit home and it was really special. And I think I'm going to do the same. And I just love that.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. He's a really cool dude. And just to see now, like after really I started kind of like transforming myself, and then my husband was brought into his life, which my husband also is just an extremely inspirational person. Like his outlook on life is extremely desirable. He just looks at life like his like playing field, and it's so awesome. But once I brought my husband into his life, and then, like I said, myself going through all of these personal changes, my dad really started to change too. And then my mom, and then my brothers. And it's really, really awesome. And now they're living a life more, free and financially free even. So it's cool to see.
You inspired them.
I don't want to say that I take the credit of that, but I think it was like you are who you kick it with. Once you
Nuggets. You are who you kick it with.
You are who you kick it with. Once you're around somebody for so long, like you start to rub off on each other. And that's why I think it's so important to have like a very somebody who as a partner who is equally as inspired by life and excited about life and wants to, do everything with you, because you feed off of each other.
Yeah, your values have to be aligned 100% for that, for the synergy to be there. So I know that you have a ton of projects in the work, but for me, I think of BOSSBOXX, the CBD, and your very successful podcast. Of those three, which was the scariest to start off at?
Oh, I think honestly, my podcast, I was really, really scared to start my podcast because I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. I'm just now kind of stepping into like who I am as a person. And I'm putting myself out there in kind of a big way. So I wasn't really sure how that would like resonate with some people. And to be honest, it was exactly what I thought was going to happen did happen. I definitely found that I lost a lot of people in my life, not in a bad way. I have just kind of tightened up my circle because I am putting out into the universe like what I expect of relationships and what I want out of this life. And to some people, that's just too much.
Yeah, and that's something I can relate to as well. And I don't want to say outgrew people, but it's just that you have different values now. And you, like you said, you became Kelsey 2.0. Some of the people from your past might still be that 1.0 version of themselves. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But you just don't have as many similarities anymore with them.
Yeah, exactly. And I will love those people forever. But are we probably gonna, hang out once a week? No, maybe not even once a month or once a year. But it's not like those people just are wiped out of your life. It's just, again, you want to be around people that lift you up and inspire you and are like cheerleaders for your growth. Because again, you are who you kick it with.
And that's exactly why I'm kicking with you here today.
Yes, exactly.
Kicking it with Kelsey. That's got to be something.
Oh, I mean, that could be a podcast spinoff.
That's it. With all the fantastic success that you've had and just like the challenges that you push through, what would you say to the audience is one or two of the most important traits necessary to cultivate to plow through challenges and overcome obstacles?
Well, resilience, which kind of seems very generic, but like you have to be willing to fail and then get back up and actually appreciate the failure. Because I know that if I fail, that it's a lesson, and two, it's pushing me in the right direction. So I look at it more as like a good thing now, that if I find something I can't do, I'm gonna, probably fail at it at first, but then I'm gonna figure out how to do it. So I think that's like the biggest thing. Like I said earlier, you don't have to be the smartest, you don't have to be the most talented, you don't have to have the most experience, but if you're resilient, you are going to be successful at some point. It may not be on your time, but you will be successful if you're resilient.
Yeah, I have so much respect for you, Kelsey. And the truth of the matter is, you're very brave, and and the fact that you don't, not only do you not shy away from failures, but you look forward to the challenge because you understand what it means, and what it does not mean is give up and go hide.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are hesitant to get something started because they're afraid of failure. And so for the audience listening that's maybe trying to get up and running with a business, or may have lost their job at the pandemic, whatever the case may be, should definitely reach out to Kelsey in regards to what she's doing right now with BOSSBOXX and so forth, because she's been there, she's done it, and she understands how this works. And also understand the mindset that failure does not mean it's game over. It's a part of the journey. And if you're really taking a shot at life, like if you really want to do something special and leave a mark on this world, leave a legacy, then there's going to be ups and downs. It's just a part of life. It just is what it is. And I don't want to say it bothers me, but like, I just get disappointed when I see so many people scared to take a shot because they're scared of failure.
Yeah, and it's not supposed to be easy. Like,
No.
this is also pretty cliche as well, but like if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And that's the thing, is it really comes down to how bad do you want it? Um,
Ooh,
and
love that.
it really is, how bad do you want it? And I learned that very early on playing sports, because my dad would say that to me when I was little. And when I would be tired, or just like, just pure exhaustion at the end of a soccer game, and I just felt like I had nothing else in me, he'd be like, how bad do you want it? And I'd be like, oh, okay, that snapped me out of it. I want it really bad. So I feel like that I've brought that to my now entrepreneurial life, is that I know how bad I want it, and for so many reasons. One, I think the most important being like the feeling that I get after I accomplish something new. I want that feeling. Like, I'm addicted to that feeling. So yeah, I keep that idea fresh with me in my mind.
Yeah, and I appreciate you helping to name this episode right here, right now. How
How
bad
bad do
do
you want
you
it?
want it with Kelsey Eyers?
That's so good.
So good. All right, I have to ask you, because a lot of people are asking me, and I have my own answer, and especially this day and age when there's a lot going on, I'm curious for the audience to get your perspective, especially you who has a lot going on. How do you avoid a burnout?
That was very hard for me as well. And I still hit burnout sometimes, because if I have like a very, very heavy workload and there's just no avoiding it, it's inevitable. Honestly, sometimes it really is. But what I have learned now is kind of going back to what I said earlier, is just really listening to my body and understanding everything comes in seasons, more so listening to your mind than even your body. But I realize now that not every day I'm going to be super inspired. So if I'm not, then it's okay to take the day off, or it's okay to step away. Obviously you're not like just ditching your responsibilities, or just like piecing out on meetings that you have scheduled. But if it is in your schedule to step away and refresh, you got to do that. I think the best way to do that too is to plan things, to actually put them in your schedule. Like, on whatever day of the week you choose, that's just like your no computer, no phone, no work day. Like, honor that, because while it might seem like, yeah, if I work both Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to go into Monday and I'm going to have so much done. Yeah, but then by Wednesday, you are going to be like at your wit's end with just
Toasted.
hearing people's voices. Yeah. So I think really like scheduling in that time of like, this is my day to go have fun, or this is my day to just, like I said, shut off. I think that's really, really important. I definitely didn't listen to that advice early on and hit a wall several times, but I've gotten better at it.
And that's why I appreciate your feedback so much, because you've been through it. So
Yeah.
appreciate that. I knew we would manufacture magic here today, but this was really special. I didn't realize 100% how similar you and I are. And I love that. And it's very obvious this will not be the last time that you and I collaborate. I know the audience already fell in love with you. Where can they find you? Where do you hang out the most, Kelsey?
Well, thank you so much. First of all, I agree. I think we both have a really similar viewpoint on life, similar mindset in a lot of things, and similar big dreams and goals. So, yeah, I agree. Thank you, first of all. And second, where can everybody find me? At Kelsey.Eyers, it's Eyers, or you can go at Sweat CBD or at the.bossboxx, and that's BOSSBOXX. Yeah, and I obviously I still do all the customer service for Sweat CBD, so if you have any questions about it, please reach out. It's my favorite part of the business to connect with the people who are benefiting from our products. So
Yeah, and Kelsey's very open. She's warm. She's amazing. If you love this conversation, hit her up, shoot her a DM, shoot her a message, chat with her. She can help you out with either the CBD, the BOSSBOXX, or even just say hello.
absolutely.
Kelsey, I just want to say that you don't shy away from your struggles as they've shaped you. And I think that is something I find very relatable and liberating. I want you to know that you are the definition of perseverance, grit, and heart, from building Sweat CBD from the ground up to now launching a brand new venture and helping other businesses facilitate growth and direction. I could personally guarantee that your best is yet to come. You're someone I admire, I appreciate, and I respect very much. And I can't wait to continue to watch you fly.
Wow, thank you so much. That was so kind.
Yeah, I have a lot of love for you. This was super special. And like I said, we're definitely going to continue to collaborate and create some more magic together.
Can't wait to see what happens in our future.
Yes. Have a good day, Kelsey.
Thank you.
That was super special.
Yeah, thank you. That was great.
Yeah.